Nobody noticed the sound at first. Not the tired cargo workers with frost still clinging to their boots. Not the transit pilots staring into glowing screens. Not the woman behind the counter pouring steaming soup into paper cups beneath tired yellow lights. But Sergeant Ethan Carter noticed it. Clink, clink, clink. A single coin hitting metal. Then another. Then silence. Helios Station 9 sat near the shipping lanes beyond the outer colonies, a place where engines never stopped humming and people only looked up when something went wrong. The station cafeteria smelled like black pepper soup, machine oil, wet jackets, and recycled air pushed through old vents that rattled every 20 seconds. Outside the thick glass walls, frozen particles drifted through space like pale dust beneath docking lights. Inside, warmth lived in small places. In paper cups, in tired conversations, in food that reminded people of home. Ethan stood near the back of the line wearing an old brown field jacket over civilian clothes. The military insignia had been removed months ago, but years of service never really left a person. It stayed in posture, in quiet habits, in the way someone automatically noticed exits when entering a room. 42 years old, broad shoulders, short dark hair beginning to gray near the temples, a face worn smooth by long shifts and longer memories. He had only come for soup. Just soup. Nothing more. The woman standing ahead of him could not have been older than 22. Alien. Thin frame beneath a faded blue coat too light for station winter. Pale blue skin. Dark silver hair tied back loosely. Small shoulders pulled inward like she wanted to disappear. Ethan watched her hands. People told truth with hands. Hers trembled slightly. Clink. One coin. Clink. Another. Then another. She counted slowly. Carefully. Like getting it wrong mattered. Ethan glanced toward the menu board hanging above the counter. One small soup. For credits. The girl lowered her eyes. Counted again. The line behind her shifted impatiently. Someone exhaled loudly. A freight worker checked his watch. The cafeteria lights flickered once overhead before stabilizing. The girl swallowed. Quietly. Counted again. Ethan felt something tighten inside his chest. Not pity. Something older than pity. Recognition. The cashier finally leaned forward. Older woman. Human. Gray uniform. Tired eyes. Not cruel. Just exhausted. Ma'am, she said gently. You're short. The alien girl froze. For half a second the station noise disappeared. No engines. No dishes. No voices. Only silence. Ethan saw her shoulders pull tighter. Saw her thumb rub the edge of one worn silver coin. I know, she whispered softly. American Standard came through her translator clean, but careful. Practiced. I thought I had enough. She began gathering the coins back slowly. Quietly. Like someone trying not to take up space in the universe. Ethan looked down at the tray in his own hand. Soup. Bread. Coffee. 12 credits total. Then he looked back at her. Pale fingers closing around coins that suddenly felt heavier than metal. Clink. One slipped loose. Rolled across the counter. Spun once. Twice. Then stopped. Ethan Carter stared at that coin. And something inside him moved. Ethan bent down before he realized he was moving. Years of training had taught him to react before thinking. The silver coin felt cold when his fingers closed around it. Worn edges. Faded markings. Old currency from one of the mining colonies beyond the western trade routes. Not worth much. Maybe that was the point. Sometimes the smallest things carried the heaviest weight. He stood and placed it gently beside the others. The girl looked up. Pale silver eyes. Tired eyes. Not weak. Just tired. Ethan knew the difference. You dropped one, he said quietly. Her fingers tightened around the remaining coins. Thank you. The line shifted again behind them. Someone muttered something under their breath. The station clock near Docking Hall 7 flashed 7:14 p.m. in soft white numbers. Outside the cafeteria glass, a freight vessel slowly rotated into position beneath blue guidance lights. Machines hummed. Ventilation fans rattled overhead. Life kept moving. It always did. The cashier gave a small apologetic smile. I am sorry. Company rules. The girl nodded immediately. Too quickly. Like she had heard those words before. Ethan noticed that too. It is okay, she said softly. I can come back tomorrow. Tomorrow. Ethan stared at the coins again. For silver pieces. One copper credit chip. Not enough. Not even close. The girl carefully gathered everything into her palm. Every movement slow. Controlled. Dignified. Like losing composure cost more than hunger. Ethan looked at her coat again. Thin fabric. Worn cuffs. A small tear near one sleeve repaired by hand. 3 uneven stitches. He had seen repairs like that before. Soldiers patched gear the same way. People who stretched things longer than they were meant to last. The coffee machine behind the counter hissed loudly. Steam rolled upward beneath yellow lights. Warm air carried pepper broth and fresh bread through the station cafeteria. Ethan suddenly remembered winter deployment on Titan Ridge years ago. 6 men, 1 heater, 1 exhausted medic who split his meal into 7 equal pieces without saying a word. Nobody forgot kindness when survival got involved. Nobody. Ethan slowly reached into his jacket pocket. Transit card. Station identification. Payment band. Nothing dramatic. Nothing complicated. The girl had already stepped away from the counter. Head lowered slightly. Shoulders smaller somehow. She moved toward the exit corridor beneath the station map display. Ethan exhaled quietly. Then he stepped forward. Wait. She stopped, not turning around immediately. Like disappointment had taught her caution. Ethan placed his tray down beside the register. Soup. Bread. Coffee. Forgotten. Add 1 more, he said. The cashier blinked once. Sir. Ethan nodded toward the corridor. Small soup. The cashier hesitated. Then understanding reached her face. Of course. Warm broth poured slowly into a fresh paper cup. Steam drifted upward beneath soft cafeteria lights. Ethan picked it up carefully. Heat pressed into his palm. Familiar. Simple. Human. He walked toward the corridor. Past empty tables. Past tired travelers. Past glowing advertisements promising luxury colonies nobody in this cafeteria could afford. The girl stood near the station window, looking out toward open space. Motionless. Quiet. Like she belonged nowhere inside all that endless dark. Ethan stopped beside her. Held out the cup. You forgot something. She turned slowly. Looked at the soup. Then at him. Then back at the soup again. For 1 second Ethan thought she might refuse. Instead her fingers wrapped carefully around the warm paper cup. And for the first time since he noticed the sound of coins hitting metal earlier that night, he saw something change. Not happiness. Not relief. Something quieter than that. Hope, trying very carefully to come back. The girl held the soup carefully with both hands like warmth itself had become fragile. Steam drifted upward between them. Pale station lights reflected softly against the glass beyond Docking Hall 7. Cargo ships moved through open space in slow silence. Somewhere above them engines hummed through metal walls older than either of them. Ethan leaned lightly against the corridor rail. Not too close. Just enough to stay. The girl lowered her eyes toward the cup. Pepper broth. Simple station food. Nothing special. Yet Ethan noticed the way her shoulders relaxed slightly after the first careful sip. Like her body had been waiting longer than she wanted anyone to know. Neither of them spoke immediately. People filled silence too quickly these days. Ethan learned years ago that quiet mattered. Quiet let people breathe again. The station announcement system crackled overhead. Docking clearance for Bay 12. Delayed departures toward the western colonies. Background noise. Endless noise. Life moving around small moments nobody noticed. The girl finally looked toward him. You did not have to do that. Ethan folded his arms loosely. Probably not. Then why? Good question. Hard question. The kind people asked when life taught them kindness usually came with conditions attached. Ethan stared toward the station window. Frozen particles drifted slowly beneath blue lights outside. Beautiful from far away. Dangerous up close. Funny how space worked like that. Long time ago, Ethan said quietly. Someone helped me when they did not have to. She waited. He noticed that too. She listened carefully. Like every answer mattered. I never forgot it. The girl lowered her eyes toward the soup again. Steam touched her silver hair softly. People forget things. Ethan nodded once. Most do. Silence settled between them again. Comfortable this time. The station corridor carried tired travelers toward elevators and transit gates. Boots against metal flooring. Wheels rolling over old panels. Laughter from somewhere farther down the terminal. Human voices. Alien voices. Different languages flowing together beneath station lights. Helios 9 always sounded like the galaxy trying to learn itself. Ethan glanced toward the cafeteria entrance again. The line had grown longer now. Freight workers. Mechanics. Dock crews finishing night rotation. People wearing exhaustion the same way soldiers wore old scars. He noticed something else too. The cashier. Looking toward him. Thinking. Ethan exhaled slowly. Dangerous feeling. Familiar feeling. The same one that usually emptied his wallet faster than common sense allowed. The girl noticed his expression shift slightly. What? Ethan rubbed one hand lightly across his jaw. Nothing. That is not true. You always this observant. Usually. Ethan smiled faintly. First smile all night. Small. Real. That gets expensive. So does kindness. Ethan looked at her. Really looked this time. Pale blue skin. Tired eyes. Thin coat. Quiet strength holding everything together one careful breath at a time. Young. Too young to carry that much weight alone. The station line inside the cafeteria moved slowly now. People waiting. Hungry. Tired. Working another shift because life rarely offered alternatives. Ethan stared toward the register for 3 long seconds. Then 4. Then he pushed himself away from the railing. Wait here. The girl blinked softly. What? Ethan adjusted his old jacket. I will be right back. You already did enough. Ethan glanced over one shoulder. No, he said quietly. Not yet. Ethan Carter walked back toward the cafeteria slowly. Not because he was unsure. Because old habits made him think before acting. Station lights reflected softly across polished metal flooring worn smooth by years of boots and cargo wheels. Helios 9 never really slept. It only changed shifts. The late crews replaced. The early crews. Pilots traded places with mechanics. Freight workers traded exhaustion for coffee and another 12 hours under artificial skies. Ethan stepped through the cafeteria entrance again. Warmer here. Pepper broth. Fresh bread. Machine oil drifting faintly through ventilation ducts overhead. Familiar smells. Honest smells. The line stretched farther now. Dock workers. Transit crews. Maintenance teams. 2 alien miners still covered in silver dust from refinery work. A woman holding a sleeping child against her shoulder. A young station technician rubbing tired eyes beneath cracked protective goggles. Ethan noticed details automatically. Always had. The cashier looked up immediately when he approached. Gray uniform. Tired eyes. Human. Mid-60s maybe. Someone who had worked too many long shifts for too many years. Sir? She asked quietly. Ethan glanced toward the menu display overhead. Soup. Bread. Hot meals. Coffee. Enough to carry people through another hard day. He pulled his payment band from his pocket. Black metal. Scratched edges. Years old. How many people in line? The cashier blinked. Excuse me. Ethan nodded toward the waiting crowd behind him. Everybody. Silence. Small at first, then larger. Strange how silence moved through crowded places. The woman stared at him. Sir, that is. Ethan lifted one hand gently. Everybody. Someone behind him laughed quietly. Not cruel, just surprised. A mechanic near the middle of the line lowered his coffee slowly. The alien miner nearest the entrance shifted slightly. Watching. Ethan could feel it now. Attention. Dangerous thing sometimes. He preferred quiet. Quiet never followed kindness for very long. The cashier lowered her voice. You sure? Ethan looked toward the corridor windows. Lyra still stood there. Small figure beneath endless stars. Holding one paper cup like it mattered. Maybe it did. Ethan looked back. Yeah. The cashier slowly reached beneath the counter. Fingers moving across payment screens. Numbers climbing. Meal totals stacking upward one line at a time. Ethan watched the total rise. 200 credits. 300. 400. Years ago numbers like that would have scared him. Years ago he owned less than the boots he stood in. Years ago someone fed 6 cold soldiers from one bag of supplies because kindness mattered more than fairness sometimes. Ethan placed his payment band against the scanner. Soft electronic tone. Approved. Simple sound. Expensive sound. Nobody moved. Not immediately. The station technician finally spoke first. Wait. He looked around slowly. Everybody. Ethan slipped the payment band back into his jacket pocket. Everybody. The woman holding the sleeping child covered her mouth quietly. One freight worker removed his hat slowly. The alien miner near the entrance lowered his eyes toward the floor. People changed when dignity returned unexpectedly. Ethan had seen it before. During storms. During shortages. During hard years. Human. Alien. Did not matter. Hunger made people small. Kindness made them stand straighter again. Near the register someone lifted a station tablet. Camera active. Ethan noticed instantly. Old instincts. Recording. Great. Just great. He adjusted his jacket automatically. Turned slightly away. Too late. The mechanic smiled quietly. You military? Ethan nodded once. Used to be. Figures. Ethan almost laughed. Almost. Across the corridor beyond cafeteria lights Lyra finally turned toward the noise. Pale silver eyes searching. Confused. Watching people she had never met smile for reasons she could not understand yet. Ethan looked toward her, then toward the station window beyond her shoulder. Frozen stars drifted silently outside Helios 9. Cold. Distant. Beautiful. Space always felt endless. Funny thing was kindness traveled farther. The station tablet recording Ethan disappeared into the crowd faster than he expected. Helios 9 carried freight, supplies, travelers. Information moved faster than all of them. 10 minutes later, people near Docking Hall 7 were already watching short clips floating across public station feeds. No music, no editing. Just tired workers standing quietly while meals appeared one by one across cafeteria trays. Someone added text. Someone always did. Human veteran buys dinner for strangers. The words felt bigger than truth. Ethan hated that. He slipped away from the cafeteria before attention could settle fully on him. Old habits. Crowds made him restless now. Too many years were being noticed usually meant trouble was coming. He found Lyra standing near the observation glass again. Soup finished. Empty cup held carefully in both hands. Like she still was not sure she was allowed to throw it away. Beyond the station window, cargo lights moved through darkness slowly. A massive refinery vessel drifted toward western launch lanes. Tiny maintenance drones floated nearby, like distant fireflies. You should not have done that. Ethan leaned lightly beside the rail again. Done what? That. She motioned quietly toward the cafeteria behind them. People are talking. People always talk. Not like this. Ethan folded his arms. Metal support beams overhead groaned softly as docking clamps adjusted somewhere deep inside the station frame. Helios 9 sounded alive when people stopped long enough to listen. Lyra lowered her eyes. You embarrassed me. Ethan blinked once. Did not expect that. Sorry. She looked toward him immediately. Surprised. You are apologizing? Should I not? She stared quietly for several seconds. Silver eyes searching his face carefully. Measuring something. People did that sometimes around soldiers. Looking for hardness. Looking for distance. Looking for proof the uniform changed what lived underneath it. Ethan stopped wearing uniforms months ago. Sometimes people still saw one anyway. Nobody buys food for strangers, Lyra said quietly. Not where I come from. Where do you come from? She hesitated. Small hesitation. Easy to miss. Ethan noticed it immediately. Mining district near Carina, Outer Belt. Ethan nodded slowly. He knew enough about colony systems to understand what that meant. Long hours. Dangerous work. Families stretched thin across places built for production instead of people. You live here? Ethan asked. For now. Work? 3 jobs. Ethan turned slightly toward her. 3. Morning cleaning crews. Data sorting contracts. Shipping manifests overnight. Ethan said nothing. Sometimes silence invited honesty better than questions. Lyra looked toward open space. Again. Station housing costs increased last cycle. You live alone? Her fingers tightened slightly around the empty soup cup. No. There it was. Wait. Hidden under one word. Ethan waited. My brother lives with me. Little brother? 11. Human years. Translation systems adjusted automatically now. Health problems? She nodded once. Barely. Respiratory condition. Ethan understood enough. Medical costs. Colony systems. Long shifts. Thin coats repaired by hand because other things mattered more. Suddenly 3 jobs sounded less impossible. More inevitable. Station announcements crackled overhead. Incoming arrivals from eastern shipping lanes. Transit gate 4 delayed. Life moving forward. Always moving. Ethan noticed Lyra glance toward a nearby clock display. 7:49 p.m. Immediate concern touched her expression. You have somewhere to be? Ethan asked quietly. Night shift starts in 21 minutes. Data sorting? She nodded. Ethan looked down toward the empty cup still in her hands. Small paper container. Pepper broth gone. Warmth gone. But she still held it. Funny thing about kindness. Sometimes people carried it longer than expected. Lyra finally spoke softly. Almost too quietly beneath engine noise and station sounds. Nobody has done something like that before. Ethan looked toward stars beyond thick station glass. Endless cold beyond endless distance. Then he answered honestly. Somebody should have. Lyra checked the clock again. 7:52. Station time moved differently when people carried too much responsibility. Fast when they needed more hours. Slow when they needed relief. Ethan noticed the change immediately. The way her shoulders straightened. The way exhaustion stepped aside so duty could take over. He had seen that look before. Soldiers wore it. Parents wore it. People holding fragile things together wore it most of all. You should go, Ethan said quietly. Lyra nodded once. I should. Neither of them moved. Helios 9 drifted through open space beneath cold stars and shipping lanes older than both of them. Engine vibrations hummed softly through the floor panels. Somewhere above them docking clamps locked another incoming. Transport into place with deep mechanical echoes rolling through station walls. Life arriving. Life leaving. Endless movement. Endless people carrying invisible things. Lyra finally placed the empty paper cup into a nearby disposal unit. Slow movement. Careful movement. Ethan noticed that too. People who lost enough stopped rushing simple moments. Thank you, she said quietly. Again. Ethan folded his hands into his jacket pockets. You already said that. I know. You do not owe me anything. Lyra lowered her eyes briefly. That does not change gratitude. Ethan almost smiled. Almost. Guess not. They walked together toward Transit Corridor 8, where station workers moved steadily beneath overhead signs glowing soft blue against metal ceilings. Cargo crews. Maintenance teams. Medical staff changing shifts. A tired father carrying a sleeping child wrapped beneath a station blanket. A delivery drone rolled past them quietly carrying supplies toward eastern loading bays. The galaxy always imagined space felt grand. Important. Most days it looked like ordinary people trying their best. Your shift starts in Building 12. Ethan asked. Lyra nodded. Archive Processing Center. Night crew. Night crew pays more. Ethan nodded slowly. Of course it did. You sleep when? Sometimes mornings. Ethan looked toward her. That is not enough. It is enough if someone depends on you. Ethan went quiet after that. Because she was right. Years ago he slept 3 hours a night for 6 months straight, because people depended on him too. Funny thing about responsibility. It convinced people they could survive almost anything. Until they could not. They reached a station junction where transit tracks curved downward toward lower operations sectors. Lyra stopped walking. I go this way. Ethan nodded once. Okay. A soft station chime echoed overhead. 8 p.m. shift rotation beginning. Workers moving faster now. Footsteps. Voices. Transit doors opening and closing. The rhythm of Helios 9 breathing around them. Lyra adjusted the worn blue coat around her shoulders. Thin fabric. Repaired sleeve. 3 uneven stitches. Ethan noticed something else now. Small medical. Identification clipped near the inside seam. Child respiratory support authorization. Dependent registration clearance. 11 years old. Ethan did not mention it. Did not need to. Some truths deserved dignity. Lyra noticed where his eyes stopped. Her fingers moved instinctively toward the identification tag. Quiet protective movement. Human. Alien. Did not matter. Love always looked familiar. His name is Orion, she said softly. Ethan looked back toward her. Your brother? She nodded. He likes old ship engines. Ethan smiled faintly. Smart kid. He says they sound alive. Ethan looked upward as another transport vessel drifted somewhere beyond station walls. Engine vibrations rolling softly through steel beneath their feet. He is right, Ethan said quietly. For the first time all night Lyra smiled. Small. Careful. Real. Not because life got easier. Not because problems disappeared. Because for one quiet moment inside a station carrying 10,000 strangers through endless dark, somebody understood something important without needing it explained. 3 nights passed before Ethan Carter saw Lyra again. Helios 9 moved the way stations always moved. Quiet emergencies. Loud machinery. Endless schedules. Freight arrivals. Departure notices. Coffee cooling beside tired hands. Human lives. Alien lives. Thousands passing each other every day without ever really meeting. Ethan kept busy. Maintenance consulting contracts. Cargo routing support. Small station jobs paid enough to keep moving forward. Nothing glamorous. Nothing important. He liked it that way. Important things cost too much sometimes. The public station clip faded after 2 days. Replaced by newer stories. New problems. New distractions. That was life now. Fast attention. Faster forgetting. Ethan preferred it. Thursday evening arrived colder than normal. External temperatures near the outer docking frame dropped 20 degrees below seasonal averages after a frozen particle storm rolled across western shipping lanes. Helios 9 adjusted automatically. Heating systems compensated. Transit routes shifted. People complained anyway. Some things never changed. Ethan stepped from operations corridor 5 carrying a paper cup of coffee that already tasted colder than it should. 8:46 p.m. Night crews moving again. Blue station lights reflecting softly across polished floor panels. Same sounds. Same rhythm. Then everything changed. Not dramatically. Quietly. The overhead lights flickered once. Twice. A low mechanical sound rolled beneath the station floor. Different from normal engine vibration. Wrong somehow. Ethan stopped walking immediately. Old instincts. People kept moving around him. Most never noticed things until systems failed completely. Ethan noticed early. Always had. A station announcement crackled overhead. Electrical interference distorted the message. Attention. Temporary power fluctuations detected in lower operations sector. People slowed now. Looking upward. Confused. Another flicker. Harder this time. Lights dimmed. Brightened. Dimmed again. Ethan turned toward lower operations transit access. Building 12. Archive Processing Center. Lyra. He started moving before logic could argue with him. Fast walk first. Then faster. Lower station sectors always struggled during system instability. Older infrastructure. Less funding. Temporary repairs that somehow became permanent. Transit Corridor 9 overflowed with workers now. Questions spreading faster than answers. Ethan moved through the crowd carefully. No panic yet. Just uncertainty. He reached Building 12 entrance 8 minutes later. The station lighting inside felt wrong immediately. Backup systems active. Half illumination levels. Emergency power glow washing hallways pale blue. Archive workers gathered near security checkpoints. Supervisors speaking quietly into communication bands. Ethan scanned faces automatically. Human. Human. Alien refinery clerk. Data analyst. Maintenance technician. Then silver hair. Pale blue skin. Lyra. Relief arrived harder than expected. She stood near a processing terminal, helping an older station employee gather physical storage files before automated containment systems activated. Calm. Focused. Working. Of course she was working. Ethan exhaled slowly. Then she looked up. Saw him. Genuine surprise crossed her face immediately. Ethan, you okay? She blinked once. I should ask you that. Another vibration rolled softly beneath the floor panels. Small this time, but enough. Enough for Ethan to notice something else. People near the archive wing doors beginning to worry. Real worry now. Lyra stepped closer. Cooling systems in lower storage sectors stopped responding 20 minutes ago. Ethan looked toward sealed archive corridors beyond security doors. Old systems. Climate controls. Power instability. Not dangerous yet. But problems became bigger quickly in stations built above endless space. Lyra lowered her voice quietly. There is a child downstairs. Ethan looked toward her immediately. What? Station worker brought his son tonight. Her silver eyes held his. Come outside. Concern underneath. He is still inside Archive Sector 3. The hallway felt quieter after Lyra said it out loud. Not because station noise disappeared. Because concern changed how people heard things. Ethan looked toward Archive Sector 3 beyond reinforced glass access doors, glowing pale blue beneath emergency lighting. One child. Somewhere inside lower storage levels built decades before current station expansion. Old systems. Old doors. Old problems. The station's supervisor, near security checkpoints, adjusted a communication band again. Frustration visible immediately. Maintenance is working on it, he told worried employees nearby. Please stay clear of restricted access corridors. Ethan stepped closer. How long? The supervisor looked tired enough to answer honestly. Cooling controls failed during the power fluctuations. Internal doors locked into containment mode. Manual override? Ethan asked. Not responding. Lyra folded her arms lightly. Ethan noticed something immediately. She was worried. Not panicked. Focused. Same look from earlier nights. Same look people wore when someone depended on them. How old? Ethan asked quietly. The child. Lyra answered immediately. 8. Human years again. Translation systems adjusting automatically through station public networks. Ethan nodded once slowly. 8 years old felt very young inside a station suddenly acting older than it should. The supervisor rubbed tired eyes. His father works archive indexing. Brought him because school transport routes shut down after weather delays. Ethan glanced toward sealed corridor doors again. Emergency lighting reflected softly across polished floor panels. No alarms. No danger warnings. Just time passing slowly. Sometimes that felt heavier. A woman from archive staff stepped forward quietly. Human. Mid-30s. Nervous hands twisting station identification lanyard gently. He likes ship books, she said softly. The boy. Ethan looked toward her. What? He sits in Archive 3 reading old flight manuals. Something tightened quietly inside Ethan. Ship manuals. Engine books. Orion likes old ship engines. Funny thing about life. Sometimes details returned when people needed them most. Lyra looked toward Ethan immediately. She remembered too. Archive 3. Ethan repeated quietly. Flight record storage. The supervisor nodded. Mostly historical systems documentation. Ethan moved toward the access panel beside containment doors. Old interface. Older hardware. Emergency backup indicators cycling slowly beneath dim lighting. Familiar enough. Years working station consulting contracts taught him plenty. Years before that taught him more. Ethan, Lyra said quietly behind him. What are you doing? Looking. His fingers moved lightly across interface controls. Status displays. System routing paths. Manual access chains. Archive sectors rarely updated because archive sectors rarely mattered until suddenly they mattered a lot. One line flashed softly across emergency display panels. Internal climate support operating. Backup oxygen cycling active. Safe. Good. Very good. Ethan exhaled slowly. Small relief. The supervisor stepped beside him. Can you read maintenance architecture? Ethan nodded once. Little. Not completely true. Lyra folded her arms tighter now, watching quietly. Silver eyes following every movement carefully. Ethan noticed another line buried beneath containment diagnostics. Manual override authorization pending secondary approval. Simple issue. Simple delay. Human problem. System waiting for someone higher clearance to confirm authorization chains. During emergency instability. Ethan almost laughed. Almost. Space stations cross star systems. Traveled shipping lanes beyond mapped sectors. Advanced technology everywhere. Still slowed down by paperwork. Supervisor, Ethan said quietly. Who has secondary approval clearance? The man blinked once. Looked toward his communication band immediately. Then froze. No. Ethan looked up. What? The supervisor stared toward station staffing displays. Pale emergency lighting reflecting across tired eyes. The secondary authorization officer. He swallowed once carefully. She left early tonight because her son was sick. Silence settled quietly beneath station lighting. Then Lyra stepped beside Ethan. Very calm. Very focused. So, she said softly. The person needed to open the doors is not here. Nobody spoke for almost 3 seconds. 3 seconds inside a crowded station felt longer when people were waiting on one answer. Ethan looked toward the sealed archive doors again. Pale emergency lights reflected softly across reinforced glass panels. Quiet systems. Quiet hallways. One child somewhere beyond old infrastructure and older approval chains. Human technology crossed galaxies and still found ways to complicate simple problems. Lyra stood beside him. Come outside. Concern underneath. The station supervisor rubbed one hand across tired eyes again. I can try reaching her, he said quietly. Already tried. Another archive worker answered softly from behind them. Signal routing delays after the storm interference. Ethan looked back toward the access terminal. Manual authorization pending. Secondary approval unavailable. Backup systems active. Climate stable. Oxygen stable. Safe for now. Safe did not always feel safe when somebody was waiting alone. His eyes moved slowly across old maintenance architecture again. Lines of code. Legacy station systems layered across decades of updates. Then he saw it. Small text buried beneath override diagnostics. Emergency archive protection exemptions. Historical preservation sectors allowed limited access bypass under supervisory witness conditions. Old stations carried old rules. Old rules sometimes save people. Ethan leaned closer toward the display. Read it twice. Then once more. Lyra watched immediately. You found something. Maybe. The supervisor stepped beside him. Ethan pointed quietly toward the lower section. You still have authorization. No, I do not. Not secondary. Ethan pointed again. Primary supervisory emergency access under preservation exemption clause. Silence. The supervisor stared. Read it once. Then twice. His eyes widened slightly. Nobody uses that anymore. Good thing nobody deleted it. Fingers moved quickly now. Authorization keys entered. Supervisory confirmation. Emergency archive protocols waking slowly beneath dim station lighting. 1 second. 2 seconds. Then soft mechanical sounds rolled gently through the hallway. Heavy locks disengaging. Archive Sector 3 opening. Nobody cheered. Not yet. The station worker who brought his son tonight moved first. Fast steps disappearing beyond the doors. People waited quietly. Quiet mattered. 1 minute passed. Then another. Long enough for worry to grow sharp edges. Then footsteps returned. Small footsteps too. 8 years old. Dark station hoodie. Old flight manual held tightly beneath one arm. Safe. Smiling slightly. Confused why adults looked relieved. The father lifted him immediately. No dramatic moment. No speeches. Just relief settling softly into tired faces beneath emergency lights. Human. Alien. Did not matter. Relief always looked familiar. Lyra exhaled quietly beside Ethan. Small breath. Deep breath. The kind people released when responsibility finally loosened its grip. The station supervisor looked toward Ethan. Thank you. Ethan shook his head once. Old systems saved him. No, Lyra said quietly beside him. Ethan looked toward her, silver eyes holding his steadily. Someone looked carefully. Silence settled again beneath pale station lighting. Comfortable silence this time. Honest silence. Later that night, after systems stabilized and workers returned to schedules, and Helios 9 remembered how to breathe normally again, Ethan stepped toward Transit Corridor 8 alone. Almost alone. Ethan. He turned. Lyra stood near the station glass again. Same place. Different night. She held something small in her hand. One silver coin. Worn edges. Faded markings from mining colonies beyond Western trade routes. The same kind he noticed days ago. She placed it carefully into his hand. For luck? Ethan asked quietly. Lyra smiled softly. Small. Real. No. Engine vibrations rolled gently beneath station floors. Cargo ships drifted slowly beyond endless stars. Helios 9 carrying tired people through cold space one ordinary day at a time. Lyra looked toward open darkness beyond station glass. Then back toward him. For remembering, she said quietly. And somehow inside all that endless space, Ethan Carter realized kindness never disappeared. It only waited patiently for someone willing to carry it forward.